know the why human trafficking work is needed, to fight for the freedom of modern-day slaves. But love, passion, commitment isn't all you need to be an effective and successful anti-trafficking advocate. Learn the how. I'm Dr. Celia Williamson, Director of the Human Trafficking and Social Justice Institute at the University of Toledo. Welcome to the Emancipation Nation podcast, where I'll provide you with the latest and best methods, policy, and practice discussed by experienced experts in the field so that you can cut through the noise, save time, and be about the work of saving lives. Welcome to the Emancipation Nation episode 126. And this week I have Lisa back, and she's back to introduce this episode and talk about it afterward. And so, how you doing, Lisa?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, I've been tuning into the podcast, and I thought last week you had a really interesting interview with it was Matt Friedman. His work was really fascinating.
Yes, he was really good. And so for the people that don't know Lisa, this is Lisa Belton. She has a master's degree in social work, and she works in our local housing development. Let's just be real, the projects, and helping with the people there. So I'm just glad that you could be with me this week because I know you've been busy. And yes, for those who didn't listen last week, go back and listen because I do interview Matt Friedman. He talks about the Macon Club and his anti-trafficking work all around the world. It was really good.
Oh, yeah, it was very good. But wait, so what's happening with the survivor's journey? You were doing like some solo episodes about the different journeys.
Yeah. I'm still devoted to doing one episode for each journey, but I'm not doing it this week.
I thought those were really, really good. But so you're doing an episode of a survivor's journey or interviewing a guest this week?
Yeah, this week I'm going to be interviewing a guest. I'm still going to finish the survivor's journey, but I just have to take a break every now and then and just interview a guest and just find out what other people are doing. So this week I'm interviewing a guest. His name is Umaru Balde. And let me tell you that if there ever was anybody that I believe has already lived a million lifetimes before the age of 40, it's him. So this is, I think, one of the most fascinating stories on the podcast and probably one of the most fascinating stories I've ever heard. So his story is so amazing. I'm not even going to spoil it. I'm just going to let you tune in and then we'll talk about it afterwards. So without further ado, here's my interview with Umaru. Today we have Umaru Balde with us. So interesting. You're going to love this story. He was born and raised in Guinea-Bissau. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in West Africa, and spent many years in the Middle East, Egypt, and Israel before really coming to the United States as a student. So while he was living in Egypt, he worked for the UNHCR and was a multilingual interpreter for 6 years before moving to Israel, where he attended Hebrew University in Jerusalem and then continued to volunteer with nonprofit organizations that advocate for immigrants, refugees, and victims of human trafficking. So he has a BA in English literature, an MA in philosophy from El Azhar University in Egypt. He also has a bachelor's in political science and an MA in student affairs, that's educational leadership, from the University of Northern Iowa. And he currently is a civil rights investigator. So that's awesome. And before all of these accomplishments, he had been a former child slave, a victim of human trafficking from Egypt to Israel. So I just can't imagine how much he has accomplished through his life. And he's a fairly young man. I mean, I'm looking at him right now. Good looking man, not an old man, but he's done a lot through his life. So I just want to welcome you, Umaru, to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Dr. Celia. I am very happy to be here with you today.
Yeah. And so can you tell us your story, just beginning with, your life as a child and then how you got caught up as a child slave?
Yes. I was born in Guinea-Bissau, in West Africa, a very small country, former Portuguese colony. Um, I was born to a traditional Muslim family there. In the traditions, or I could say the culture of the tribe, Fulani tribe, they have the tendency to give away their children to religious scholars to raise the kids, and in return, the families would be blessed, and the
So,
kids might turn out to be uh, religious scholars as well, which means they are considered holy people, holy men, not women, because they did not consider women to be um, any type of religious leaders.
so let me ask you, Umaru, you were the chosen one in your family
Yes,
to take this religious path.
yes,
And that's, well, we now know that's not the path you ended up taking because you're here doing civil rights investigations. But what happened during that time? So you're the chosen one, and then what happens?
yes. Turns out it's not really a lot of learning as we think about learning. It's not that type of education because traditionally they believe like pain does make a man strong, does actually make a man, and so it's a hard labor. We worked a lot. We farmed. We were actually borrowed by other people to go do their construction and farming works. Um, I never saw our we call them sheikhs getting paid for it, but I do believe, and later in life I found out that they actually did get paid for it.
How old were you at this time?
I was given away before my seventh birthday,
Oh,
so I
wow.
was six, and I ended up running away from it at age 12. Um, Came home. My parents were not very happy. Well, my mom was excited, but my dad was like, no, I cannot run away from the holy man and bring bad luck to the family. So I needed to go back. Um, I was determined I was not going back. And so I ended up in the streets until I was found by an uncle who got me into my first formal education. The first time I saw it inside of a formal classroom, I was already 12 years old. It was a Catholic primary school in our capital city in Bissau.
Wow.
Yes. Um, yeah, and then at age 17, I ended up leaving the country and headed to the Middle East.
So
I
how
went
did
to,
that come about? And how did you meet? Was this your true uncle?
yes, yes, that
And
was my dad's
your
first cousin.
your uncle put you through school,
Yes,
but then at 17 years old, you left.
yes, I ended up leaving because again, when I was in school, I did not like it very much. I was kind of recruited into a military junta, not as really a frontline soldier, but as they call us camp boys, like little kids who are sent to do things, like go buy stuff, deliver stuff that we don't know. It's just random packages. Sometimes steal even uh, from people.
How did you get involved in this, being like one of the camp boys?
Yes, I had some friends whose parents were in the military, in the army,
Okay.
and we would just go hang out at the military base there.
Okay.
And that's how I got involved. So they would teach us that, well, you will grow up, we'll teach you, we'll train you on how to do things. And then eventually you'll end up having a uniform and become a soldier. Then no one can tell you what to do. So,
Okay.
and that's what every boy wanted to be. No one to be able to tell you what to do.
Okay. Okay. So you were in this camp and they said, okay, you just run errands and go get things and do things until you're old enough to become a
Yes.
soldier.
Yes.
Okay. And then what happened?
And then at age 17, right before I turned 18, we had a civil war break in the country. And then I decided to just get out because they were again looking for younger people who were involved in this military junta. So myself and two other friends left the country. We went to a neighboring country in Senegal. And from there, we decided to just move because we have an embassy in Senegal and that's too close to our country.
Okay.
And then I ended up going to Egypt because again, I had a cousin who was married there in Cairo, whose husband was a student, an Islamic student at the university there. So I went there to live with them, and they helped me get to school and finish my high school, and then got my first my bachelor's degree and a master's. But after I graduated, I did not want to go back. It was still not safe.
Yeah. So I can't imagine. It's hard, I think, for people in the US or Canada or any of these sort of first world countries. It's hard to understand how somebody 10, 11, 12, and even 17 years old can go to another country, can change countries, can rely on the kindness of other people to help them be safe and to go to school and those types of things. That's just really hard to wrap your head around. That's a lot of trauma and a lot of young person being vulnerable and not safe. So, okay, so they help you go to school. And then what happens?
Yes, they helped me go to school at an Islamic university there that I also had high schools. And after I graduated, before even commencement, before I got my diploma, I was very active. And at the university, we were not allowed, at least the African students were not allowed to be involved in politics or anything like that. And I was very active and I spoke my mind. Any event we had, I would get on the podium and speak and just advocate for the African students. There was an event when a Palestinian leader was killed, Yasser Arafat, and there was a protest on campus. There were a lot of people, all the international students were at this protest, and then I took the podium just to let the Africans know, listen, you know how vulnerable we are. We don't have to be part of this protest because this is politics. Do not get involved. And then for some reason, some photographer, a journalist for a newspaper caught a picture of me on the podium. And then the college just made a big deal out of it that I was actually leading the protest and stuff like that. Then they ended up asking me to leave the country.
Oh, wow.
I did not want to go back to Guinea because it still wasn't safe. And my parents actually did not want me to go back there at the time. So then this cousin of mine was told by some friends, that there is an African embassy in Cairo that helps get people across into Israel. And when you go there, they'll find you a job, they'll get you to school or whatever you want to do. At least you'll be free to move around and go on with your life. What I did not know at the time is that was not true. It was not an embassy or anything like that. But definitely there were politicians involved in this business. So whether they were just Egyptian government members or African ambassadors, somebody was involved. And so my cousin promised to pay money to help me get involved. I mean, for these people to take me into Israel, where I would go to school, and that's what I thought. And so, yeah, in July of 2004, yes, July 2004 is when I left Cairo and was taken in a really nice car. I remember that looked actually like an embassy car. And myself and two other friends, one from Guinea Conakry and the other I think was from the Ivory Coast. So we took our passports. They told us not to bring any luggage, just the passports. And they took us over to Sinai. Uh, when we got in the car in Cairo, they said, well, we're going straight to Tel Aviv. And we were so excited. We didn't, little we knew that this was a whole different thing. It's a life-changing, a journey that was going to take 3 to 4 months in the desert of Sinai.
Oh, wow. So what happened? Where did they really take you?
Yeah, as soon as we crossed the Suez Canal in Egypt into the peninsula, they stopped quickly, and then there were two pickups, Toyota pickups, pulled up very fast, and they just pulled us out of the cars and told us to get in the back of the trucks. And we got up there, we got on the trucks, and they just told us lay down, and they put blankets on us and rocks on the sides of the blankets, and they took off. We don't know where we were going.
Were you scared? I imagine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We were super scared. I was like, oh, now I know what this is.
Yeah.
Because I had already read about this and I heard a lot of stories. We are getting smuggled.
Mm-hmm.
My friends didn't believe it. I was like, I know what's happening. And so they drove around. I was wearing a watch, so I know that they drove around for 2 hours in the desert. Eventually, we stopped somewhere with a little hut they built in the middle of the desert. There was nothing else around. And they told us to just get out and get into this little hut and sit there and wait.
Oh, wow.
And that was the beginning of 3 months of waiting and being sold from one group to another. We actually would see them trading money and then just pushing us to a new group every once in a while.
And so what did you have to do when the money was passed and you were sold? What did you have to do?
Nothing really. We just had to listen. That's what they would tell us. Listen, do what you were told. And then they would make examples because 2 times actually they shot other people in front of us to teach us a lesson. Because they ask a boy from Nigeria to call his uncle who lives in England to ask for money. And he could not. He didn't know the number. He didn't know. Because they scared him, he told them that he has an uncle who lives in England who could get them the money. And then they were excited about it. These are the Bedouins, the traffickers.
Mm-hmm.
And so they started forcing him to find this uncle. He's in the middle of the desert. He doesn't know. So they took him like around sunset. We were already a large group of Africans, Asians, and young women from Ukraine. In my writings, actually, I do write about one of them that I got a little bit close with because she would tell me about where she came from. She spoke English, while the others did not. And so they shot this Nigerian guy, killed him in front of everybody just to teach us a lesson. That was when I thought, okay, it's over. So this was just our second month in the desert.
And so you ended up being there a total of 3 months?
Of 3 months, yeah.
Did they take other people and have them do work, or what was going on that they had these people in the hut?
Oh yeah, well, we actually always, the guys, including myself, at some point I did tell the smugglers that, listen, because I spoke Arabic very well and I did know their dialects as well, the Bedouins. So I talked to them. I told them, listen, I actually grew up here and I know I also speak the language that these people speak. So I can translate for you.
So Umaru starts to translate for his smugglers so that they're able to get more money. But this is a clever way for him to stay alive and survive. So I'm going to take just a commercial break to tell you about some of the offers that we have. Then we're going to get back to Umaru's story. I want to break into this podcast and ask you an important question. Why did you become so passionate about the issue of human trafficking? because you know how precious freedom really is. And you know that if you could offer that to someone else, it would make your life that much richer as well as theirs. Whatever you've accomplished thus far in life, nothing is more satisfying than being able to help someone receive the gift of freedom. If you're interested in taking the deep dive and becoming trained, write this down. It's my Effective Case Management with Human Trafficking Survivors course. You know, many direct service providers are passionate about working with survivors. They understand their why in doing this work, but many don't understand their what to do or how to do it or when to do it and where and how much to do what. And unfortunately, we don't give permission for someone to be honest and say they don't have the knowledge and skills to effectively work with a population of survivors that have suffered trauma. Well, I have a course on how to work directly with survivors, including the 10 common areas of need and how to assess those areas of need, and then how to intervene more effectively and in trauma-informed ways. Complete my course, Effective Case Management with Human Trafficking Survivors, at your own pace. I'll walk alongside you as you walk alongside survivors, sharing with you my almost 30 years of experience. If you're interested, you can find my free webinar on my website at celiawilliamson.com. And now on with the podcast.
At some point, I had to build some trust between myself and the smugglers.
Mm-hmm.
I told them that I grew up here in Egypt and I do speak the language very well, and I also can speak English. That means I can communicate with everyone in the group that spoke English. And so that way I could help them, the smugglers, get more money out of these people, this group, communicate with them. And so they trusted me for that. And they would actually take me with other groups to tell them, to help translate, to tell them what to do, including fetching water. Like they would go on the pickups somewhere to a pond and get gallons and gallons of water to bring back, because they had camels and a lot of goats that they had to feed. And so we did that work for them. And so I would also go with them to attempt to get some people through to the border, but they wouldn't let me go until one day I decided, well, now I also have a gun like everybody else. I am on the front of the line, because they would make a line, 2 of us in the back, 2 at the front, and 1 in the middle of the line to get people across. And so there's one time I decided I'm going to be in the front of the line. Then when I got through the fence into Israel and other people, the group got in, they walked about like a few feet away. Then I opened fire. I shot, and the guards launched their torch, and everybody ran back, because I knew that if I was in the Egyptian side, we were going to get shot at.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Israeli side, they would not shoot. They would try to catch and arrest us. And when you're arrested, you go into an Israeli immigration detention center. There's no problem. That actually you have hope of getting released.
So let me see if I got this straight. So when you got across the border, because you were in the front, and you fired your weapon, that meant that they would take you into custody. They would arrest you. So that would be an opportunity for you to get away from these people.
Right. Yes.
Pretty smart. Yeah.
And then the smugglers went back into Egypt. As we all started running, I realized that the Ukrainian women had a truck waiting for them. Mm-hmm. And so they were running. I followed them with my friend from Guinea-Conakry. We followed these girls, and we got on the truck with them. And that's how I was saved, basically.
Okay, yeah. And did you know about this plan beforehand?
I did, because I heard them talk about it. I heard them on their phones. They had walkie-talkies. They had cell phones. And also, it's a very well organized group. So they have tunnels where they actually drive their pickups underground and park them in there. Because around this time, there were a lot of Egyptian soldiers and some international military people in the peninsula looking for some terrorists that had uh, bombed in Sharm el-Sheikh, a tourist place in Egypt.
Okay.
And these people were believed to be in that same area hiding.
Okay.
So it was dangerous because we would see these big helicopters coming like a few times a day,
Oh,
flying very, very low. So we would just try to blend in the sand
yeah.
and
They're
hide.
looking. You, instead of getting arrested, when you fired the weapon, you caused chaos. People started
Yes.
running, and then you jumped on the truck.
Yes.
Oh, wow. And then where did the truck take you all?
It took us to Tel Aviv, the center of town in Tel Aviv. There is a park there by the center, the mall at the center of the town, where a lot of immigrants get together at that park. So they just dumped us there very early in the morning. And I didn't know where to go, but there were a lot of Africans, so I came and asked some of them. Like, I just got here, I don't know anyone. I know though that there are people here from my country. And I talked to a guy who also was from Guinea-Conakry. Later on, I found out that this guy was also a smuggler. He was waiting for somebody to pick up someone.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, he told me about people from my country, and that's how I found some of the Guinea-Bissau people there who lived in Tel Aviv for many, many years. These people took me in. There were 3 friends who went there a long time, right before the war started, as evangelists went on pilgrimage in Jerusalem, and then they decided to stay. And so they took me in and found me a job at a restaurant there, cleaning and washing dishes. Yeah.
So let me just back up and ask you this. How did you learn 6 different languages? How did you come about that?
Oh, wow. I grew up speaking, I think, 4 languages because I grew up speaking my mother tongue, the dialect Fulani, Creole, which is the national language, Arabic, which is the language that I was learning at the religious scholars, and then Portuguese, which we learn in the school, primary school.
Oh, wow. So 4.
So I grew up with, yes, I grew up with those 4 and then picked up French along the way in Senegal, and then Wolof as well in Senegal. So before I left West Africa, I had 5 different languages. And then in Egypt, I learned English and more Arabic. And I was also learning Urdu, which is spoken in Pakistan and other Indian areas.
So up to 7 languages, basically.
Right, I knew those. And then I also was learning Spanish in Egypt. And so when I got to Israel, I continued learning Spanish, English, and then I added Hebrew. Then when I got here, I kept on adding more. So
Wow.
I learned Mandarin and Hindi. So,
Mandarin and Hindi. And so how did you get then from Israel to the US?
Yes, in Israel. So I got a job at a restaurant. I worked there for 25 days without any documents. And one day I was coming back. I had a night shift. Early in the morning, the immigration police stopped me and they asked for documents. I didn't have any. I already did my research because my countryman told me, if you ever get stopped by the immigration police, tell them you are a minor. Otherwise, you're going to get deported. And when they got me, they asked for documents. I didn't have any. They asked for my age. I was like, I told them I was 17. At the time, I was 25. Mm-hmm. So they took me to the juvenile detention center for minors, unaccompanied minors. And when I got there, I found a lot of other people, some older than me. And I started asking how long they were here. Some were there for months, some even years. Oh. Some people left me in Egypt years ago, and I found them in detention. So I said, I don't want to sit here and wait. What are you waiting who is helping you. They just are waiting for their turn for the UNHCR to come and interview them for asylum. And then I said, I cannot sit and wait because you have rights. Absolutely. I believe that the people outside of here do not know anything about you because some nonprofits were coming in and out just to check on them, bring them books and other stuff, games. And I told them, look, we have to do something. And there were two guys that were arrested at the same time as myself. They were from Darfur, Sudan, also refugees, whose entire families were killed in the war there. And I asked them, I told them, listen, we need to go on hunger strike. You guys have a chance because you're from Darfur. Right now, you're all over the news around the world. So let's go on hunger strike and we will get some media attention. That's going to help. And that's how we started.
Wow. And so what was the result of that?
Yeah, 3 days into the hunger strike, I and one of the Darfurians, we were driving everybody crazy because at night we would get up in the middle of the night and start banging on the doors, not letting anyone sleep in the detention center. We would not eat. If they bring food and someone else wants to eat, we would take the plates and not let anyone eat. And then the chief of the police, the head of that detention center, came in one day and asked who was organizing this, who started this. And some people said it was me. And they took me to isolation, a small room, put me there for 6 hours, and then I would not shut up. So the chief of police came later that afternoon and took me to his office, trying to talk to me, be nice, and so that I could convince the others to end the strike.
So when Umaru was 7, his parents chose him to go with the religious leader because he was the chosen one. And it really turned out to be child slavery.
Wow, his story was incredible. I'm on the edge of my seat listening.
I know. It's really an incredible story. And it should really, really be a movie. Like, I feel so grateful that I know him and really thankful that he made it.
I know, but I really want to know what happens with the chief of police in Israel. I want to know how he gets to the U.S., how he ultimately becomes, what he is, a civil rights investigator. What a whirlwind life already.
I know. He has already lived 1,000 lifetimes. He was a child slave and he gets away, which is amazing. He grows up to be trafficked and taken to the desert, and he gets away. And he meets people who take him in and take care of him for a while in Egypt and in Israel. It's incredible. I'm telling you, he is a chosen one. Someone's taking care of his life path and his journey. So tune in next week to find out the rest of Umaru's gripping journey to safety in the U.S. And not only safety, but how he starts to eventually help others as a civil rights investigator. Until next time, the fight continues. Let's not just do something, let's do the best thing. If you like this episode of Emancipation Nation, please subscribe and I'll send you the weekly podcast. Until then, the fight continues.